everybody, and welcome back to the Keri Runs 100 Miles YouTube channel. So today I am talking about nutrition. If you've watched any of my videos, you know that I've talked about my struggle with just figuring out nutrition and what it means within the world of running in general, but definitely I have been kind of clueless in the world of ultra running when it comes to nutrition and that kind of stuff. The most I've ever run is 2 full marathons, and you might have heard me talk about it in one of my other videos, but no matter what distance I've run from when I started running 7 years ago to running now and trying to do this training for a 100 miler, I've never really changed my nutrition when it came to the amount of calories I was consuming. I went through a period for a while where I tracked my calories, and that helped me to be able to lose about 35 to 40 pounds a few years ago. Babies, you know, you gain weight and sometimes it takes a while to come off. So I'm kind of able to eyeball stuff, maybe not perfectly, but to have a pretty good rough idea of my calorie intake, what I'm eating, and that kind of stuff for the most part. And so, because here's my problem with tracking it for me personally. I know it totally works for a lot of people. I become very neurotic, almost unhealthily, is that a word? I don't know. Very unhealthy relationship with tracking. Like to the point of anxiety and panic attacks and all that kind of stuff when it comes to tracking. And so it had its purpose and it had its place in my journey to track and that kind of stuff. And so I still have a little bit of that mindset, but my problem is I had pigeonholed myself into this idea that I only needed to be eating 1,500 to 2,000 calories a day. However, when you look at your life and what I'm trying to do, and even when I was training for my full marathons, I've never really given my body enough fuel to be able to compete, not even compete, just be able to run those distances and be able to feel good while I do it and that kind of stuff. So I've done pretty good on the nutrition when it comes to during races, because if you don't know, whenever you run a race, your body can only absorb 300 to 500 calories per hour while it is in motion. So that basically says that you need to be eating at least 300 to 500. If you eat more than that, your body's not really going to absorb it. So it's almost not worth the effort. Yes, you're doing more of an effort and you're probably burning more calories than that, depending on how long your race is, how long you've been doing it, your weight, all those kind of factors. But so I've kind of slowly gotten better at in-run fueling with gels, and Tailwind is my particular favorite. I kind of do a combo of those on long runs. I'm just now introducing regular food into runs. I did an 18 miler yesterday, and so we had crazy storms here. So there was no window yesterday where I could go out and do an 18-mile run without fear of lightning and all that kind of stuff. So I decided to do a little test yesterday. And instead of doing an 18-miler outside, I hopped on the dreaded treadmill, aka the treadmill. But what I did is I broke my run down into short runs. So I did 3 4-milers and 2 3-milers and broke them up so that I could do 4, and then I made myself eat something. It wasn't something huge. It was like pita chips and hummus or half an avocado, I think an apple. So I kind of worked those in, and then I would hop right back on the treadmill, do 4 more, and I just did that for the entire time. I wanted to get my body used to eating solid foods, because yes, you can do an ultra run on just Tailwind and Goose and that kind of stuff, but it's probably not the healthiest, and by the time you've been running for 20 plus hours, the last thing you want is one more frostingly sweet goo gel block, any of that kind of stuff. So I wanted to test to see how my body reacted to eating and then running. And I did really well. I got my 18 done. So I felt good the whole time, which was super great. I actually got faster as I went, which is kind of not normal. It's called a negative split if you do your back half faster than your beginning half. So that tells me that my body can handle eating regular food. while I am running and that kind of stuff, so that's good. It's just figuring out how to pack that with me when I'm on long runs, but that's a whole nother subject. So, but when it came to nutrition, never been very good at figuring out outside of races what's best for me, how much I should have, and all that kind of stuff. Because again, I tend to be a very numbers oriented, very goal oriented person. So that if you look at me and say, okay, you need to be eating X number of this, X number, da 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 da, then I'd be like, all right, here's the plan, here's what I'm gonna eat, I'm gonna weigh it, da 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 da. And so I've done a few apps that all deal with that. But the problem I run into, again, like I said, is I become very neurotic and very unhealthy about my relationship with food and my relationship with calories and macros, so your proteins, your fats, and your carbohydrates, and that kind of thing. Ooh, hold on one second. Sorry about that. I forgot I had put my lunch in the oven and it was beeping, and so I didn't want to burn it. So all that to say is I've had almost a neurotic, borderline unhealthy relationship with calories and macros in the past, and I've never adjusted for my running. So I really wanted to talk to a nutritionist to get an idea of what I should be doing. And I'm going to be honest, I went into it going, I think he's going to tell me, you need to eat this number of calories, you need to eat this kind of protein, this amount. So I really expected a numbers game, which is kind of what we're all used to when it comes to nutrition. If you're losing weight, if you're bulking, if you're leaning, whatever it is, there's always this magic balance that you're supposed to find of proteins and fats and carbohydrates and all that kind of stuff. And so I was super surprised when he told me something I had heard before, but hadn't really believed. Is that weird? And so he said, I don't think you need to track. And then part of me is like, no, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to track. That way I can have a goal and I can do this. And I really just asked, I go, why do you think that tracking isn't important in this realm? Yes, again, it is important in some realms, but in this particular realm. And his advice was that you're pushing your body to limits and that you should listen to your body. There are going to be days where you are running 5 to 10 miles and you might not need as much. And then there are days where you're running 18 to 30 and your body's just going to need more. And to say you need 3,000 calories a day, you need this, or to change it up every day, almost feeds into that neurotic side that I have. And he's absolutely right. And I kind of was like, I'm gonna need one particular plan for this day and a different plan for this day. And so I'm slowly trying to reset my mind when it comes to my relationship with food. Now I will say, I think in the past when I was tracking, I did have a very unhealthy relationship with food and nutrition. I used a particular app, which I won't name because I know it helps a lot of people. I know it helped me. But at the end of every day, that app would say, if you did this every day, you would weigh this. And so I stopped using that app for 2 reasons. Number one, because of that, because I'm no longer in, yes, it would be nice to lose weight. It would be nice to tone up, but that's like secondary, third, fifth down the line of why I'm doing this. And so I didn't want that constant reminder of if you did this every day, you could weigh this, because my journey's not about weight. And I didn't like, after a while, the way it was set up, because it was always set up of you ate this plus you exercised and did this amount of calories, so this is how much you have left to eat. So it almost became a, I don't even know how to put it, it almost became you were paying for your food by working out. And again, it's not the journey I'm on. I know that works for some people and it worked for me for a season, but I'm just not in that season anymore. So I'm trying to change my relationship with food and just go, am I eating healthy? Am I eating nutrition? Am I eating enough? Because that's part of my problem too, is there are times where just because of life gets in the way and that kind of stuff, you know, I'll get to dropping the kids off at school, I'll get home, I'll get to working in my studio, something like that, go for a run, get my studio, all that kind of stuff, and it's time to pick all the kids up from the bus, and I haven't eaten anything all day, which I know, don't yell at me, I get it, it's horrible. So just making a conscious effort of remembering to eat, which I know is a crazy thing to say, and a lot of people don't have that problem. So my best friend is one of those people, and we joke about this all the time, so I'm not saying something we haven't said before. She and I joke that I forget to eat, and then she wakes up in the morning already wondering what she's having for lunch. And so, like, it's normal when we trained for one of our half marathons together, or even now, even though she doesn't run anymore, she still sends me texts like before big runs, before big races and that kind of stuff, and goes, "Did you eat? Are you drinking enough water? Have you slept?" And that's great, because sometimes I need a reminder going, I don't know, did I eat today? And so just making the conscious effort of even remembering to eat I know sounds weird, but you know, we all have our quirks and our things that we deal with. So I'm trying to do that, and I'm trying to have a healthy relationship with food. I have learned over the few years that food is fuel, that food isn't the enemy. And I did go through a period where food was the enemy, and that's definitely when I was, you know, right after I had my daughter 9 years ago, and, you know, you're dealing with the postpartum blues, which I dealt with, where you're dealing with, you know, just not feeling like yourself and trying to keep life together with 3 kids. Because, you know, at the time I had her, it was 2010, so I had I had a 7-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a newborn. And I was just trying to do life and hold life together. If you're a mom or a dad, you all know that it's just about holding life together sometimes. And so I know I had a kind of an unhealthy relationship with food for a while there. I wouldn't call it an eating disorder, but I do think that I might have maybe a little bit of what's called body dysmorphia, and that's just the when you don't see your body for what it really is. Because even at my skinniest after having kids, I still don't see, you know, the hot guy, the hot girl, the hot bod, whatever you want to call it, that my husband sees. And I think he's just looking through rose-colored glasses and blah, 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 blah. And so I think I have dealt with a little bit of that. Once I kind of released that need to be perfect and that need to make everybody happy, I think I've dealt with that less, but I think it still pops up, and I think that might just be, I don't know if that's being a woman or if that's just the culture we live in, or if it's just me. I don't know. I don't have any explanation for it, but I do feel like I have a better relationship with food and with my body than I had, say, 9 years ago when after I had my daughter, and definitely 7 years ago when I started running. So a couple of books that he recommended, which I'm going to grab real quick. So they're cookbooks. There's one that he recommended, which I haven't gotten yet, and that's the Whole30. Now, he doesn't recommend doing the Whole30 unless that's just your jam, all the rules and stuff, but he said that the Whole30 cookbook really does have like a lot of great ideas for snacks and recipes and that kind of stuff. And so he also recommended, which one I already had, and I'm not gonna be honest, I kind of lost it for a little while. But the first one that actually I bought is this one. It's the Run Fast, Cook Slow, Eat Slow. So it is actually by Shalane Flanagan and Elise Kopecky, I think is how you say her last name. So if you don't know, Shalane Flanagan is an amazing marathon runner. She has like a 2:20 marathon. She won, let's see if I can find it. She won something, was it New York? I think, my brain is stopping. But I'm pretty sure that's the one she ran. I'm trying to find it. I'm trying not to be rude and look down while I'm doing this, but okay, I can't remember, but yes, that's what it is. So when this book was published, which was the second of the 2 cookbooks, she says, "This year I turned 36, which is getting up there in the elite world," which is kind of sad. "I truly believe changing my diet has enabled me to extend my career. In the past year, I set multiple PRs, ran in my 4th Olympics, and became the first U.S. woman in 40 years to win the New York City Marathon." So if you're going to listen to anybody, I'm going to listen to this girl because she's bad. Beep. But the first cookbook they did was this one called Run Fast, Eat Slow. As you can see, I've dog-eared some stuff because those are recipes we're trying this week. So the big thing with them is they're all about, yes, in a way, clean eating, but they don't say it in that kind of almost cliche, like holier than thou, clean eating kind of way. They look at it from a point of view of just honoring your body and putting good stuff in it so that you can get good stuff out of it. And so it's been, we're trying to transition into that. So whatever I eat when it comes to, like, I cook for my family 5 to 6 nights a week. So whatever I eat in the evenings, they also eat. I don't cook separately for myself and for my kids for 2 reasons. Number one, that's really expensive. And we are a family of 5, and I have kids that are starting to eat, over the last year, have eaten like wood chippers, and there are never or rarely are there any leftovers in our house anymore, just because they're getting bigger and groceries are getting more expensive. So that's one reason I don't cook too. And also, I want my kids to be healthy. I want my kids to understand what healthy food looks like. And I want my kids to grow up having a healthy relationship with their bodies and a healthy relationship with food. And understand that, yes, it's okay to have that ice cream. It's okay to have that candy bar. It's okay to have those treats. But that's not the mainstay of our diet. You know, we don't do fast food a lot. I'm not anti-fast food. I'm not a fast food Nazi or anything like that. It's just, it's not part of our lifestyle. And part of that is because I want them to have a healthy relationship with food and understand what they're putting into their body. And I think the easiest way to do that, instead of just going, you shouldn't, you shouldn't, you shouldn't, is to model it and say, okay, we're having, you know, baked chicken thighs and asparagus, because it's all good for you, and that's what we had last night for dinner. There were no leftovers. There was barely enough for everybody to eat, so I'm gonna have to rethink that recipe and add something else into it. I probably should have added some carbs at somewhere in there, I don't know. But so we are trying these 2 cookbooks for a while. I might get the Whole30. I thought my best friend, who is super great into nutrition and that kind of stuff, might have it, but she didn't. So I was holding out that maybe she had it so I didn't have to buy it, because they get kind of expensive after a while. So I'll probably end up buying it. So that's kind of the nutrition journey I'm on right now. Just changing my relationship with food, remembering to eat, and trying to let go of the numbers game and try not to be so neurotic about that, and just understand that if I'm eating good food, I'm getting nutrition, I'm eating healthy, that my body's gonna tell me when it needs stuff, and that I need to be conscious of making sure that if I'm gonna ask extreme things from my body, that I need to feed it in a way that's gonna fuel that. And so that's my nutrition journey kind of so far, and I'm hoping that it will start showing some dividends when it comes to my running. I know I can definitely tell that my runs, even though last week was a little hard just from fatigue, it was, I don't think it, just starting to change my nutrition in the last week. I've felt good on all of my runs. I haven't felt, I did a 12 miler on Monday, and never hit kind of the proverbial wall, but I'd eaten a good breakfast. I had fueled along the way, and I said I did that 18 miler yesterday, and again, ate along the way, real food and that kind of stuff. And so, even if I'm not at the moment getting quote unquote faster, I'm definitely feeling better and feeling more powerful when it comes to stamina and endurance. And when you're doing something like this, it's not always about how fast you can go, it's how long you can maintain just moving. And so, and I still have 42 weeks. So it is 42 weeks from tomorrow is the start. And so I've got plenty of time to figure this out, but if I'm liking what I'm seeing so far with the small changes I've started to make with my nutrition here at the beginning. So, I will put some links to these books down in the comments. I bought one, actually I bought both of them at Barnes & Noble, now that I say that. But you can find them at all sorts of retailers, but I'll put the names down there. Also, if you are local or you're looking for some info and just some medical stuff. So Tim, thank you so much for spending so much time with me on the phone. That was so awesome. And he said he's willing to answer any questions I have along the way. So if you have a question, guys, who are watching this, throw it in the comments, and I'll ask Tim, and if we get enough, we might just sit down and do a Q&A with him, and kind of answer some of your burning questions live. or taped, whatever you want to call it. And so he actually works at a company called Salt Health here in Bentonville. It's this really cool new idea of having complete access to a doctor as like almost like a membership kind of thing. And your membership includes the spa and the doctor and visits and a gym. And so it's a really overall all-encompassing health, mental, physical, and all that kind of stuff. So check that out here in Rogers. I'll put the link to that down in the comments as well, so that if you want to check that out, you can. And if you have any questions for Tim when it comes to nutrition, cool. He's also a runner. So I think he said he's done a 100K or a 50 miler. I can't remember which one. So he really understands nutrition from a runner's side. So that makes it extra cool if you have any questions for him. So until next time, I will see you guys later, and I hope you have an awesome, fantastic day, and make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and I will see you later. Thanks. Have a great day.